Subscribe our channel. Stay till the end of the stories for more twist and turn. Comment us about what kind of stories you like to hear.
Are you enjoying these stories on Reddit, girls? Please show your support by taking me on a coffee date virtually and buying me a cup of coffee. Or 3. Link in the description below.
My 27 female husband, 24 male, is cheating me with his brother. English isn't my first language, so sorry for any mistakes. Obviously this is a throwaway. Okay, so, this sounds crazy, and, I know it. But let me explain. The last 24 hours or so have been pure hell for me and, I'm tired, and, I cry constantly. As background, we've been married for 5 years, together for 8. Been in an open relationship for 3 years, we are both bisexual and, I'm more than happy that he can explore that side of him with other men, as I'm able to do the same with women. We have rules, though. We've agreed that we're gonna tell each other when we hook up with people. So, my husband has an older brother, Marcus, who turned 32 during my absence. They were planning on celebrating together and having fun, drinking, which was fine with me. I wished them a happy time and hoped they'd have fun. To the story. A week ago I drove several hours to see my sick mother to Gurlzz. I left my husband home as he's working from home and couldn't come with me. Also my mother dislikes him, as he's a foreigner. I texted Marcus to wish him a happy birthday, and he didn't reply. I thought he was out drinking and didn't think much of it. But I came back a day earlier, yesterday, than was planned, and I was going to surprise my husband. I entered our house, and I heard noises. Sex noises. I was confused, because my husband hadn't told me that he was going to see someone. I kind of brushed it off, thinking it was just him pleasuring himself and watching porn. All's good. 20-30 minutes later my husband comes downstairs, sees me, and goes pale. I mean, white as a ghost. He stares at me, stammers, and looks guilty. At that point, I'm like, there's something up. Not 2 minutes later his brother comes downstairs, and he has a hickey, well, several, on his neck. He greets me, stiffly, says that he gotta run back home to his girlfriend. My husband doesn't acknowledge Marcus leaving, when usually they hug and linger. They're very close. Have always been, ever since I met my husband, about 10 years ago. What was that about? I ask my husband. He's very evasive, dodges the question and says that they had a row. I press on the matter, asking what they fought about. Nothing, he tells me, now irritated. I kept pressing and pressing. He finally relents, saying that Marcus cheated on his girlfriend and that the woman he cheated with escaped via the window. We have a one-story house, so kind of plausible, when they heard my car. I was suspicious, but I assumed that he was lying about the car thing and he'd heard me in the house and alerted his brother and his mistress. Marcus cheating on his girlfriend is not fine with me. His girlfriend is my friend too, and she's amazing, working the front lines of this fucking COVID and emic. My husband tells me he has to do some work and that he has a client. Which was actually true, so he wasn't lying about that. I was still a bit weirded out by the whole thing. Marcus lives alone, so why was he hooking up with some random woman in our home? Later last night, I feel like something is off. Normally my husband would be very excited that I'm home, and every time I've been somewhere, he's been very romantic and initiated sex. Now nothing. He's very quiet, reserved and nervous. When my husband takes a shower, I went after him to wash my face and noticed that he too had hickeys on his chest that he tried to cover up when he saw me. I feel sick to my stomach, and decided to go through his phone. Yeah, I know, I shouldn't have done that. I was 100% sure he had a guy over too. I am still reading the conversations between him and his brother when my husband comes from shower. The conversations are explicit. The reality hit me like a ton of bricks. I asked my husband, what's going on, and that why is he flirting with Marcus? He tells me it was a joke. Just joking between brothers. And it sometimes goes too far. I didn't buy it. I went to sleep because I was exhausted from the trip. I was woken in the middle of the night by my husband, crying his eyes out in our living room. So I went to ask what was wrong, and he told me everything. How he has an on-off relationship with his brother. They started having sex over 10 years ago. First, it was mutual masturbation, and then it just escalated into sex. He says it was because of their religious upbringing, and that he knew nothing about sex or sexuality until we started dating. My husband, or Marcus, is not in contact with their parents. They had a falling out about 6 years ago, and I was told it was because Marcus was dating a Puck back then. Well, now I'm thinking they got caught and that's why their parents disowned them. Now I haven't slept since the night and I don't know what to do. I can't look at my husband, and I don't know if I should tell Marcus's girlfriend about all this, or what. I want to leave my husband, but at the same time, I don't. Should I contact their parents and ask what really happened 6 years ago? Is this something a therapist could handle? Is our relationship salvable? Cheating is not something I'd break up over, but I can't shake the slimy feeling I have. My husband had sex with his brother. And, yes, they have the same parents, so they're not stepbrothers or anything. Of course, I've been thinking about the relationship my husband and Marcus had when they were younger. Like I said, they have always been very, very close. But I should have seen the red flags. I should have known. Something weird happened just before we started dating, and now I'm thinking it wasn't as innocent as it seemed back then. I'm lost. I'm confused. I don't know what to do. I can't talk about this to my friends. Or my parents. I'm starting to think about killing myself so I wouldn't feel this way. I am making one small update now and I'll return sometime tomorrow. A few things have happened now. I asked Marcus's girlfriend to come and see me later today. It's nearly 1 a.m. here currently. She agreed, and said, I think I know what's going on. My husband said he's not coming home. He tells me he's at a friend's house, but I know he's not there because I contacted said friend. I'm assuming he's at Marcus's place. I'll contact a therapist first thing Monday. I have written an email and I'll send it early Monday morning. My husband told me a bit more, but he claims it all started from him. I don't believe it. I think he's lying to protect his brother. Marcus left me a voicemail saying that he can explain the situation. He did explain it, telling me that it was this one time only, but he didn't know that my husband had already told me that it has been going on over 10 years. It all started when my husband had just turned 13 and come out as bi. I feel very sad and angry. I almost drove to Marcus's house because I wanted to yell at him. For those claiming my husband is gay, it's not true. He came out before anything sexual happened with Marcus. I texted their parents and said I wanted to talk with them and said that something bad happened, but their boys are alright. I'm not alright. I asked a friend to come to our house an hour ago and I showed this post to her. She's very angry, and says that we have to get my husband to therapy like some of you kind souls told me. Thank you, everyone. I'll answer to your comments when I've rested. I need sleep and food. Thank you for not immediately defending his brother, despite your husband's comments trying to protect him. This truly is a horrible situation, and most victims of grooming don't even realize what was happening until many years later. Especially when they were teenagers, they want to believe what they've been told about how they're simply mature for their age and are special somehow. Nobody wants to believe they were taken advantage of. I know this is tough to go through for you as well, knowing he hasn't even fully processed this yet. It will be important for both of you to seek professional help, but please take care of yourself during this time, too. You should really think hard on talking to their parents given that neither son speaks to them. Many people who cut off parents would consider it a huge betrayal if their spouse contacted them behind their backs. especially if the fallout was from something very traumatic. This isn't an age gap. This is a sex crime. 21-year-olds don't have sex with 13-year-olds. They assault them. If their parents disowned them both, then that left your husband feeling that he had no one to support him except his abuser. If he knew nothing else of sex until he met you, then he had probably been isolated, confused and ashamed, with no compass pointing him toward normal. I'm not absolving him of all responsibility now that he's an adult, though Marcus is clearly the most culpable here, but this just isn't a simple matter of him cheating on you in a super gross way. This is a very complicated, long-lived tragedy. He needs so much therapy. It's fair if you decide this is a deal breaker for you, and it's fair if you decide to work through it with him. This is a hard situation all around, but don't lose sight of the fact that your husband was a victim of childhood sexual assault by someone he trusted, and the only connection he still has to his family. This is definitely not your fault. And yes, counseling, therapy is a great idea for you, your husband, his brother, everyone else. Please start seeing someone on your own, and encourage your husband to do the same. It's great for, if nothing else, just organizing your thoughts and emotions. Thank you. I will be looking at options to get into therapy. I think it would do myself good. One thing to look into is to consider finding a poly-friendly or kink-friendly therapist. It's important that they're able to separate the open relationship agreement from the incest. You may be able to find someone in your area via local community resources, like a poly website or the like. Failing that, don't be afraid to shop around if the first therapist or two decide that the open relationship is a part of the problem. Sounds like your husband was not only raped, but groomed as well, so even his consent as an adult doesn't seem right. Whether or not you decide to leave him is completely up to you, but both options are understandable. He definitely needs to go to therapy and learn to acknowledge his brother as the abuser he is. For a man his age to rape his little brother for years, that's not normal in any way, shape or form. Who knows how the effects of such prolonged abuse have messed with your husband's mind. Good thing you didn't have children. That monster of a bill shouldn't be allowed around any children. Hopefully, your husband can find the strength to break the toxic bond he has with his brother, and if you stay with him, absolutely cut the brother from your lives. Whatever happens, things are just going to get a lot worse for your husband before they get better, as he has a lot of demons to come to terms with. As for the girlfriend, absolutely tell her. She deserves to know, especially if theirs is a serious relationship. She shouldn't be with a man under false pretenses and should be allowed the choice to decide if that is someone she wants to build a future with and eventually have children with. I would tell his girlfriend. Your relationship is open, but theirs may not be, and your husband still violated the rules of your open relationship. Thanks for listening so far. If story have update, we will post here. Like and subscribe to our channel for upcoming stories.